Shabbat Shalom, family. This is Yahuah, and I'm back with you with another Torah portion. And for this portion here, we're still in Genesis, and we're at chapter 6. I want to look at chapter 6, and we're going to talk about walking the path of righteousness today. I want to focus on Noah. We're going to go down to verse 8 and verse 9 is where we're going to focus at today. But I'm going to read a little bit down to kind of give the context for this, because we're in chapter 6, and the Most High is letting us know the state of the earth and how things were. And he says in verse 5 that Yahuah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Only evil continually. It was Ra continually. It was not Tob. It was not good, not functional. But man had become dysfunctional, and the earth had become dysfunctional. It was not operating according to Yah's plans and his intentions. And in verse 6 it says, Yah was sorry that he made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. And Yahuah said, I am going to wipe off man, whom I have created, from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping creature, and birds of the heavens, for I am sorry that I have made them. So the Most High is letting us know that things were not told on the earth. And we get down to verse 8, and things start to change. It says, but Noah found favor in the eyes of Yahuah. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with Elohim. And that's what I want to focus on, that portion today, because despite the fact that everything was evil in the earth, the Most High was still searching the earth, looking for one that was righteous, looking for righteousness on the earth, looking for one whose heart was right on the earth. And he found this person in Noah. So we want to take a look at a few words that are used in here, and just kind of meditate on some of the thought of what this is dealing with over here. So we're going to start off looking at righteous. So righteous in Hebrew is Tsaddiyq. Tsaddiyq. It starts with the letter Sad, Dalet, Yod, and Kof. Sad is the image of a man on his side. It's snare, chase, hunt. The Dalet is a door. It means to move, hang. It's an entrance, path. The Yod is a hand and an arm, and it represents worship, work, throw. And then the Kof is said to be the sun at its horizon, and it means condense, time, circle. I've seen a revolution, as in a turning. So Sad, Dalet, Yod, Kof is the Hebrew letters that make up the word Tsaddiyq, which is translated as righteous. So Noah was righteous. And when I look at the book of Jubilees, also, for those who read the book of Jubilees, I'm going to read a small portion out of this just to see how this talks about the same situation concerning Job. In chapter 5, verse 19, it says, and as for those who corrupted their ways and their thoughts before the flood, no man's face was accepted except that of Noah alone. For his face was accepted in behalf of his sons, whom Elohim saved from the waters of the flood on his account. For his heart was righteous in all his ways, accordingly as it was commanded regarding him. And he had not departed from any manner that was ordained for him. He had not departed from any matter that was ordained for him. And it says in verse 20, and Yahuah said that he would destroy all which was upon the earth, both men and cattle and beasts and birds of the air, and that which moves on the earth. And he commanded Noah to make himself an ark, that he might save himself from the waters of the flood. So when I look at this word Tsaddiyq, to start, The dalet in there is interesting to me because it represents a door, and it has the meaning of entrance and path. And so Noah walked a righteous path before the Most High. He followed the instructions and walked the path that Yah had laid out. So Yahuah made a way of escape for him from the destruction that was coming on the earth. He entered through the door of the ark, and he was saved from the destruction coming on the earth, him and his household. So it's interesting to me, this dalet is always present. This door is always present when there's a need to be saved from destruction. So if we look at Noah's situation, he was saved through the ark. He entered through the ark, and he was able to do that because he was found righteous before the Most High. If we go back to Egypt, we go back to when the Israelites were in Egypt, and the Most High was bringing the plagues on Egypt, and he told them to put blood on the doorpost of their door, and they would the death angel would pass over them. Death would pass over them if they put the blood on their doorpost. So again, we see the door and the entrance, the path, being connected to righteousness, which is fulfilling the instructions of the Most High, being just, being lawful, being obedient to what the Most High is telling you to do, and then therefore being saved in that same manner. So those are two situations. And then also you fast forward, we know that Yahusha Messiah is seen as being the door, and we enter through that door to enter into the Father's house. So some believe that Yahuah is a substitute for our righteousness, which is not a correct way to look at salvation. He was righteous and therefore opened the door to the renewal of the covenant, so that we now can walk in through that covenant and now continue in righteousness. We can't walk into the covenant and abandon the righteousness that opened the door. We can't abandon righteous living because we've entered the house. If you're entering into the Most High's house, you're expected to operate according to his house, according to his rules, and to be upright and lawful. And that's what righteousness represents, that obedience, that trust, that faith in the ways of the Most High. So we see this connection here between righteousness and between entering in the door and through the path, walking on a narrow path. So I just see the interrelationship between that. So that's something to think about and to meditate on. And in the next verse down, it says that after it says that Noah was a righteous man, it says that Noah was perfect in his generations. So Noah was a righteous man, and he was perfect in his generations. And the word for perfect in Hebrew is tamim. It is the tav or the ta, the mem, and the yod. And then there's an ending mem that's there. I don't have a image that represents the ending mem to put a card here, so I just put the regular one there. But I'm going to show you this card here in a second. This card right here will show you there's certain words in the Hebrew that when it's at the end of a word, certain letters that when they're at the end of a word, they have a different look. It takes on a different form. So the mem is one of those. So you can look at this card here and see what it should look like at the end of a word. And you'll see the other letters there that also have a different look at the end of a word. So getting back to the word tamim, we have the tav, which is 2 cross sticks, which is looked at as being a sign, a mark, a signature. And then we have the mem, which is waves of water, which is defined as chaos, blood, mighty. Then we have the yod, which is a hand and an arm, and gives the connotation of worship, work, throw, all depending on the context. So then we have the mem again at the end. So it says that Noah was perfect in his generations, and I can't help but see, again, when I look at the tav and the mem, especially also the yod, but I see the word covenant comes to my mind, because we see the mark, the sign, which is what the covenant is when you're in a covenant, it is marked and signed. And then we see this mem that has water and chaos, water and blood. And when you enter into a covenant, if you think about immersion, water is a part of covenant. Blood is a part of sealing a covenant. So when you're in a covenant relationship or make a covenant, perfection is something that is expected within that covenant. If you get married, you're expected that there's going to be loyalty as part of that covenant, as part of that agreement. So when you're walking in a covenant, these are some of the things that are expected. So I'm gonna look at a few words over here that are some more definitions that are given when it talks about tamim, when it talks about perfect. It says without blemish or without spot, which that rings a bell because Messiah said that he's coming back for a church, for people, for a congregation, for a body of people that are without blemish, without spot, and that's a more concrete way. Like I said again, perfect is a word that's more abstract, that I can define it one way, you can define it a different way, and but this is a more concrete picture when you think of something that's without a blemish, without a spot. Then we have upright. Upright is something that's straight, that's not bent, it's not crooked. You're not going to the left or to the right. It's straight. The word yashar is the word for upright. A lot of us who are Yisrael, we sometimes call ourselves Yasharal or Yasharala. And but the word yashar there it means upright. Yasharal, the upright of El. Okay, so upright, not bent, not crooked. Then we have whole and complete, which connects us to the word shalom. Shalom means peace, but it means a peace that comes with completion and wholeness, nothing being missing. Okay, so to be perfect is to be whole and complete. We know that the Most High says that he desires for us to love him with our whole hearts, our complete hearts, our whole being. There should be no place in us that is out of alignment or out of agreement with him and his ways. So we have integrity, truth, sincerely. Those are more abstract words, but still give an idea of what perfect looks like. To have integrity, to be sincere. Then we have the word sound, as in like sound mind, sound doctrine. Then we have undefiled, something that's not defiled, which ties in kind of with the beginning where we talked about being without blemish and without spot, not being defiled. So it says that Noah was perfect in his generations. Something to meditate on. And then the next verse says that Noah walked with Elohim. He walked with Elohim, which is just a beautiful statement in itself. In walk in Hebrew is the word HALAK. HALAK. We have the hay, the lamed, and the kaf. With the haze, the man with his hands raised, means to reveal, to look, to behold. Then we have the lamed, which is the shepherd's staff. It means to teach, to lead, to bind, or to yoke. And then we have the kaf, which is the open palm of the hand. And kaf again is one of those letters that has a different form or a different look when it's at the end of a word, so it will look differently from what I have there. It would so I'll put the card here again so you can see what the kaf would look like at the end of the word. So kaf will take this different look at the end of the word, but it means the open palm of a hand, and the definition is to bend, open, allow, tame. So the awesome thing about the Hebrew, when you go back to the pictographics in the original pictures, in the original things that are very concrete, you can really get the function of a letter and really get a visual and a more hold on the understanding of what it's trying to say or the picture that it's trying to paint. So that's interesting here. But so we have halak, hay, lamed, and the kaf. So Noah walked with Elohim, and two can't walk together unless there's agreement. When we come out of agreement with things that are contrary to Yah, then we're free to walk with him. and then he can reveal to us, he can teach us, he can lead us as we surrender to him. So I see all that in the hay, the llama, in the calf. The hay is things being revealed. The llama is the teaching. The Most High, he's able to, we're able to take his yoke on us as he teaches us and binds us within righteousness. And then the calf is the open palm of the hand. And what do we do when we're in worship? We put our hands up, and when we pray and when we do the Shema, we have our hands open. The palm of our hands is a sign of surrender to us. And the Most High is able to, it shows our openness to the Most High, and the Most High is able to what? To tame us, to kind of mold us, to, in our humble state, when we come before him humbly, he's able to move us in the direction he wants us to go in. We're able to walk with him down the path that he has for us, because we are surrendered and in a state of humility. And in that state, he's able to teach us and reveal things to us. So this word halak is really, really stands out to me. It's really being relevant and painting a good picture of what it all looks like walking with the Most High. So I kind of skipped over verse 8 because I wanted to come back to that at the end, because it says that Noah, and it revealed this to us first. It said Noah, despite all the wickedness that was going on in the earth, Noah found favor in the eyes of Yahuah. Noah found favor in the eyes of Yahuah. Favor, in some Bibles it may say grace. It's the Hebrew word here is ken or hen. It's the het in the noon. The het in the noon. So the het is a tent wall. It divides. It means half or outside. It's a tent wall. And then the noon, again, is the sprouting seed. Means to continue, air, sun, life. So this is interesting to me, because the noon, or the het, is interesting, because when favor or acceptance is bestowed upon us by the Most High, when we find favor with him and when he accepts us, there's a wall that protects our life. So the het and the noon is a real simple word there. The hen or ken, the Father favors us and he protects our life. He protects our inheritance. Like for Noah, he literally protected his life as an individual, but then he also protected his seed. He protected his sons because of him. It wasn't the sons' righteousness, it was Noah's righteousness that allowed them to fall under that protection. So the seed and the protection, the seed and the heritage, the lineage of Noah was protected because of the favor that Noah had on him. So Noah's trust and obedience to Yah allowed him to find protection for his life, his household, and the continuation of the seed that was from the beginning. If Noah and his household was wiped out, then that would have been the whole seed that came down from the beginning, from Adam and Hawa, and there would have been a problem. The Most High would have been starting all over again. So there was protection, there was favor to continue Noah's seed and also that which came down from the beginning. So when we have favor with the Most High, it brings us protection. It divides us from those who have fallen outside of his favor. And it protects us within the walls of his people say grace or favor, and it allows our life and our inheritance to continue. So I found that to be interesting. I hope you found that to be thought worthy, and to be able to meditate on that and to take that with you, just to think on the fact that we are able to find favor with the Most High, as we walk in obedience, that he looks upon us, that he notices the righteousness. We look at so much wickedness going on in the world around us, but the Most High's eyes are going forth throughout the earth, and he's taking notice of those whose hearts are fully committed to him. And he's taking notice of that, and he provides us with protection. I know sometimes it feels like all hell is breaking loose in our lives, and you're wondering if the Most High is ever looking on us at all, but we have a high level of protection around us that is keeping us, even in our trials, that is protecting us, and that is making the things that happen that we see as being bad, the Most High makes it functional in our lives. He makes it good. He makes it useful for us, as just refining us through testing. So let's strive to be righteous and to be perfect before the Most High. Because before the Messiah was revealed, before the Spirit was poured out, in the midst of a world with every inclination being evil, Noah was found to be righteous. If Noah was able to be righteous and perfect and to walk with the Most High Elohim in that condition, then we don't have an excuse today to not walk in righteousness. Well, we have a great cloud of witnesses around us. We have the Messiah being revealed and being in position in the Shamayim, in the heavens. We have the Spirit, the Ruach, the set-apart Spirit that's been poured out on us, that we have access to. We have His written word to be able to have access to that. So there's no reason for us to shrink back from words like righteousness and perfect. But for some reason, especially within the church, a lot of times people are quick to proudly boast that nobody's perfect. Can't nobody be perfect. We all sin and fall short. Christ is my righteousness, so I don't have to be righteous. All these different things that we like to boast in. But the Most High said that we should be perfect as He is perfect. There were righteous people like Noah, in times before, where they walked alone without all the things that we have with us right now. So Noah was singled out and he was saved from judgment that came on the earth. The question is, will we be saved? Will we be saved from the destruction coming on the earth? Because it's coming, and it's coming quickly. It's coming swiftly. Judgment is coming, and has already came in a lot of ways. So will we be found as Noah was found? Will we find favor in the eyes of Yahuah? Let us pray and humble ourselves so that He can lead us and guide us and find favor in us, as He did in our in Noah. So something to think about and meditate on. I pray that this was a blessing, and I will see you in the next video. Shalom.